Good afternoon and welcome to the Land Use and Transportation Committee of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors for today, Monday, July 15th. I am the chair of the committee, Aaron Peskin, joined to my right by Vice Chair Supervisor Asha Safai, and to my left by committee member Matt Haney. Our clerk is Ms. Erica Major.
Item number 7 is an ordinance amending the Public Works Code to modify the requirements for obtaining personal wireless service facility site permits and affirming appropriate findings.
Mr. Spitz, Ms. Lutsky, who's starting? Mr. Spitz or Ms. Lutsky, whoever from Public Works.
All right. Good afternoon, committee members, chair. My name is Deborah Lutsky. I'm here today on behalf of Public Works to give you a presentation relating to Public Works Code Article 25, Personal Wireless Facilities Code Amendments to improve expedite the wireless permitting process. The purpose of the code amendments relate to current state and federal laws that give carriers the right to install wireless facilities in the public right-of-way. Additionally, a September 2018 Federal Communication Commission interpretation of existing law clarified a few things. Permits must be issued to meet a 60-day shot clock and allow the city to establish objective design standards. Currently, the city's permitting process takes 90 to 180 days and does not include objective design criteria. More specificity on the ruling is shown in this slide. As you can see, the order establishes a 60-day shot clock for existing facilities and a 90-day shot clock for new facilities. It defines what will meet objective criteria or design standards and establishes price caps. The purpose of the amendments, first and foremost, are to comply with the FCC order. Over the last number of months, the city departments, including the Department of Technology, Planning, SFPUC, SFMTA, and Public Works, have been meeting to develop an effective and compliant approach to incorporate the FCC order into current processes. The proposed Article 25 amendments include time reduction and permit process simplification, incorporate objective design criteria, maintain SFPUC and SFMTA master license agreements with carriers, and communicate the process to providers and the community alike. This slide shows a side-by-side comparison of the current and proposed permit issuance timelines. The current process takes 90 to 180 days and includes planning, pole owner, health, and public works approvals. The revised process will take 45 to 60 days and reduces the process and referrals to other agencies. In the next few slides, I'll walk through in detail the current and proposed processes captured in Article 25 amendments. So this is the current wireless process. So currently the carriers procure CEQA clearances and pole owner approvals prior to submitting an application to Public Works for review and distribution. And you can see that in the orange. Once the application has been, and orange and CEQA is green. Once the application has been submitted to Public Works, we refer the application materials to planning for design review, health, and RPD if adjacent to a park. Concurrently, Public Works teams at Street Use and Mapping and Urban Forestry review the application for compliance. Once the agencies sign off, Public Works issues a tentative approval, which the neighborhood is notified of and can protest. If the protest is received, Public Works will schedule a public hearing. The carrier and protesters are invited to the Public Works hearing to give comments alongside the city agencies. Afterwards, the Public Works hearing officer renders a recommendation. The recommendation is then sent to the director, and if approved, a permit is issued. As I've mentioned, this process does take 90 to 180 days. On this slide is the proposed changes that will impact the process for PG&E poles. The proposed Article 25 amendments would modify the existing permitting process only to include permits for PG&E poles. The SFPUC and SFMTA in turn would similarly review authorizations for wireless facilities on their individual city poles via their authority and license agreements with the carriers. The PG&E permitting process would remain with Public Works to ensure objective design standards and health standards are met, as the city does not own these poles. In the amended process, the carriers would secure CEQA clearance prior to submitting their application to Public Works. Public Works would perform the objective design review in-house rather than referring to the planning department. Public Works would still refer the application to the Department of Public Health for review. Additionally, the amended process would remove the protest period. The permit appeal process would remain unchanged. This revised process would ensure compliance with the FCC order. In this slide, you can see the proposed process for the new SFMTA and PUC. The respective agencies would review the wireless carriers' applications for compliance with all applicable codes and regulations. This process, which was developed in coordination with PUC and MTA, would comply with the new FCC order as well. The SFPUC and MTA support this proposed Article 25 amendment and the proposed process changes. So just a little bit of the objective design criteria. In 2015, the Planning Department established a design standard for 4G wireless facilities on SFPUC and MTA poles. Currently, the Planning Department conducts subjective design review of wireless permit applications. The recent FCC order allows addressing aesthetic concerns, but it must be reasonable, objective, publicly available, and applied to other entities in similar situations. So the Planning Department and Department of Technology are leading an effort to establish objective design standards in coordination with the wireless carriers, and draft standards have recently been circulated. Here's a sample of one here. I want to say thank you to Linda Jarrell and Brian Roberts of D2 who spearheaded the effort to coordinate the city agencies, and a thank you to all the city departments and staff involved. As I mentioned, the SFPUC and MTA support the proposed ordinance amendments and are available for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Lutsky, and let me just say for the record that the wireless industry owns the United States Congress, but now that I've gotten that off of my chest, are there any questions from committee members? I think you've done the best with what you've been handed. So thank you for your work, and thank you to Deputy City Attorney Sanders for this, and thank you for the briefing that you gave me in my office. Mr. Spitz.
And I believe Deputy City Attorney Sanders had given you some proposed clerical amendments.
Just going to speak to those right here. Clerical amendments at pages 1, 2, 12, 26, 27, 28, and 29. Deputy City Attorney Givner, they are all non-substantive clerical amendments. Mr. Givner is nodding his head in the affirmative, so we do not need to discuss section numbers 1521, 1522, 1500, 1506. I just did it. With that, are there members of the public who would like to testify on this item number 7? Mr. Rice.
Right, that's right.
Right,
W-R-I-G-H-T, sir.
You are right. You are correct.
Unlike you, I'm not scared of going up against a multi-billion-dollar establishment. There was just a radioactive material that's being discharged by these towers that's built by a school, and as a result, all families and instructors and the contract with the preschoolers that's located right by their tower, because of the radioactive generation that affects the kids and no scientific tests to be done, that's causing the school to shut down and thinking about shutting down. You've got no test results to measure the amount of radioactive material that's coming from these towers, and about you being affiliated with PG&E, that's the worst thing you could do is be affiliated with them. The fires that they caused were several counties have caught on fire, and on or about 1 million properties been lost and lives lost with defective equipment, and it's just been determined that their equipment was notified several years ago that it was defective, and it was just a matter of time before a fire would take place at a catastrophe level, and they still didn't do anything about it. And I further object to the governor providing $21 billion to BG&E to help them pay off their lawsuits. That's a conflict of interest. You're not supposed to be paying off PG&E's lawsuit. I come to you with a lot of respect, a lot of speed, and a lot of endurance. And just like me, PG&E's got well over several different types of insurance. They should not be paid off with taxpayers' money from the Friends and paid off by Gavin Newsom because he's friends with PG&E. So until there's a scientific study done on the true measure amount of radioactive waste that's coming from them towers and correlated with the health of human beings, particularly kids, I don't want this to move until that's completed. Is that clear?
Thank you, Mr. Wright. I apologize for mispronouncing your name. You're hurting my feelings because I did actually author the unanimously passed resolution opposing the governor's PG&E bailout, and I do want to say for the record that I've kind of made a cottage industry of fighting against billion-dollar companies. But with that, public comment is closed. Colleagues, can we take the amendments without objection? That will be the order, and we will send the item regretfully as amended to the full board with recommendation without objection, and we are adjourned.